Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Office Hours. Unfortunately, just me this week. Flows away. Hey, Dominigo. So to turn a repeating list into a reorder list, there's no kind of one-click way you could do it. You would have to just put a reordering list on the page, and then whatever data you have set up in the repeating div, you just have to rebind it to the reorder list. So you basically just have to reset up what you have in a reordering list. Unfortunately, there's no kind of one-click way to convert a repeating div into a reorder list. And just in case you aren't too sure, the reorder list, I think you are aware because the reorder list is what we call it. But the reorder list is just inside of the add panel. So if you type in reorder in the add panel where we have all the elements, there's just an element called reorder list. And so you can just drag that onto the page and then move over your elements and the data into that reorder list element. Hey, Farouk. Hope you're good. Hey, so I'm finalizing a prototype with Codex. Will it be? We'll be able to do it with Claude Code, transfer it to WeWeb. Yeah. So I suspect it's what you have is built in React, just because a lot of these AI coders they build in React because that's what they have the most training data on. So I'm going to guess it's in React. Could you transfer it to WeWeb? Yes, but it wouldn't be as straightforward as we would like it for the time being. So it's not like you could just press import and then put in the files from your repo or whatever. What you would have to do, and I've done this on my own, so I know it works, is you could take, let's say it is in React, you could go into the code and you could go onto one of the pages. You could copy all of the code of your React page, then give it to RAI, so WeWeb AI, and just say, please recreate this page, and then underneath it, paste in the raw code from that React page. So you could do it. It would just be a bit of manual effort on your side to kind of break up the prompts. So say, okay, this is page one, get it to build page one, get it to build page two, and so on and so forth. So you could do it. We just take a bit of effort on your side. We're hoping to improve this in the future because we think it'd be a very cool use case. But for now, you can do it. Unfortunately, there's just no kind of productized way to do it. No problem. Hey, so when you say free API, is there like some API that's literally called free API, or is it a specific API you're talking? Just my mic was muted, but I think you can hear me. Is there some kind of specific API you're talking about, and it's free? So what is the API? But regardless, you would be able to integrate it. I will grab you the documentation. Basically, we have a plugin called REST API, and that allows you to connect to any API. So regardless of what the API is, you could just use the REST API plugin to make an API call to the API, and then you could use that response however you like inside of WeWeb. I will just grab the docs for you, and I will put it in the YouTube chat. Sean has joined me. Hey, Sean, how's it going?
Hey, greetings. How are you?
Good, good, good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. I got a client who's ready to leave base 44.
Okay, I guess that's good news.
It is good news. Frustrated, man. You may tell you the issues with them, just so you know, or you want to skip that?
Issues with base 44?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No, I'd be super curious. Yeah.
All right. So first thing is that he's like adding stuff like back end functionality, and all of a sudden it disappears.
Okay.
He's like adding like Stripe and some some alerts that go out, and he says it literally it just disappears. And he tried to export, and it said you need to upgrade, and he's on the upgraded plan. He showed me, and it's so he couldn't even export his code, right? So you can export you can export to React, which is good. And so he's frustrated with that. And then you can't export back end. So base 44 controls the back end. You can only export the front end. And then the database, you can't export the whole database. You have to go table by table by table.
It's tedious. Huh?
It's tedious, yeah. So yeah, you should if you have a way to convert. So the question is what's the easiest way to convert to WeWeb? I mean, can I upload the screenshots and the AI will really, or do I really need to be more articulate?
Yeah, so I honestly haven't used base 44 much, and I don't know what their exported code looks like. The React it gives you, is it clean React or is it kind of a bit spaghetti code-ish?
Couldn't export it, so I don't know, but I'll find out if you want me to let you know, I will.
Yeah, because so the reason I say that is we don't officially publicize it anywhere, but I've tried it on my own. You can take, let's say, like the raw React code of a page and give it to our AI and say recreate this. And as long as you include the code of like all the components that are dependent on, because like in code, obviously that you have the page, but then in other files you have components that the page uses and stuff. But as long as you include exactly, yeah. So as long as you include all of the code of a page and say recreate this, from my experience, it actually does a pretty good job.
Okay, so that's better than uploading a visual of maybe both.
Maybe, yeah. So if I had to kind of give you a tiered way to do it, the first I would say is try the React because it's the raw code and it's hard for it to misinterpret it. Second, I would say if you have any Figma designs that he used, you could use the Figma import. And then the third, I would say the screenshots, just because the screenshots, it kind of has to interpret it much more than the other two. And so there's just more chance of error. It could work, it wouldn't work as well, I guess, from the Figma or the raw, trying to import the React.
Okay. All right, good. And then for authentication and Stripe membership, should I probably start from Supabase or Xano?
It's kind of what you prefer, to be honest. Whatever you would feel most comfortable building in, I would say.
There aren't going to be a bunch of API endpoints, I think, that need to be exposed. I think Supabase in the long run would be cheaper.
Yeah, so Xano, I haven't had a chance to try it in depth yet, but Xano did launch a bunch of AI features last week. So in the same way Supabase kind of has its MCP now, Xano has something very similar. So it can build out endpoints for you and functions and all that good stuff using AI. So if you feel more comfortable with like the visual side of Xano, but you like the AI stuff of Supabase, I'd check out what Xano released last week because I haven't had a good chance to kind of deep dive with it to see how good it is. But it might be worthwhile checking out because yeah, it might
Okay.
fall into your use
When
case.
you
But
say the endpoints, do you mean for external users or for the front end?
for both. So have you used Xano much?
No.
So it's like Supabase, but you can just create kind of logic layers. So you can create those API endpoints, and they could be used by anyone. They could be used by anyone, but I guess traditionally you would call them from WeWeb. So like if you have a payments table from Stripe, you would set up an API endpoint to get all payments, and you could then use that in WeWeb to get the data you need. Or if you wanted to, because it's just a standard API endpoint, anyone could call it. So you could give someone external access if there was like a use case for it.
Okay. But you're so well integrated with Supabase for record sets.
Yeah, I mean, they are both very good. So we have the Xano plugin.
And Supabase
I
has
get
an AI helper too.
it does, yeah. That's why I say it's what if you're way more comfortable with Supabase, I'd go Supabase. I don't want to push you towards Xano. I say Xano
No, but I
just
do.
because
I will
you're
check it
yeah.
out.
It's
Okay,
way
good.
more visual friendly, I would say, if that's kind of down the street you want to go down.
Yeah, I would have a help page eventually that says how to convert from base 44 because
Yeah.
there could be a mass exodus because Wix just bought them.
Oh really? Oh, so I saw that. Yeah, that was like a few
Yeah,
months
and
ago,
I
I
don't know.
think. Yeah.
That could end up being more of a nightmare.
We shall see, I guess.
You shall see. But yeah, I mean, it's a good opportunity for you guys to convert some customers because I mean, they pushed out that thing really fast. So I already know the bugs and there's probably way more. So
Yeah, and we're working on the back end stuff on our side, so like the full stack experience behind the scenes. I wish we could just release it ASAP, because for the use case you're describing, it would simplify things so much. Because we're planning to have like a Stripe integration, and so adding Stripe would just be, I mean, it'd be a few click process kind of thing.
that'd be great.
Plus, we're planning to have the backend be exportable, so you wouldn't have any kind of we keep the tables, but you have the logic, everything's exportable and self-hostable. So I wish we could just give that to you now, but I think it'll be another couple of weeks. I don't know how urgent your client wants to start building. So.
Wait, you say a couple of weeks?
Flo's not here, so I don't want to give any promises. Probably a couple of months is probably more realistic.
Yeah, next year. Let's just say next year.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep listening in. I might have some more questions just through the chat or something, but I appreciate your input.
Yeah, no worries. I think it's pretty quiet so far tonight. So if you have any questions, just feel free to hop back in.
All right. Thank you. See you.
Cheers. Bye. You were talking about the API key for the AI feature I can make in WeWeb. You mean, so do you mean you want to use OpenAI and create like an AI feature in your app? Or do you want to bring your kind of own AI to use in our AI chat? If you mean the last one, so you want to use your own OpenAI key, let's say, with our AI chat, so you don't have to buy credits or tokens, unfortunately, that isn't possible just as of yet. Hey, so I see people complaining about components breaking in production in the WeWeb community. I wanted to build an app for a client in WeWeb, but how? Now I'm skeptical. What do you say? So yeah, it kind of depends exactly on which parts you're talking about. If you mean the what I suspect you're talking about is like so the elements that we have natively in the ad panel. Whenever we perform an update on those, they will get pushed to the live one automatically, and I can't remember. We did have an issue with a component a while back. It might have been I think it was the select. I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember exactly which element it was. But I would say it's definitely an edge case. Like there was kind of an exodus of it happening about a month back. Yes, it was those. Yes, there was kind of, we had a batch of it happening a month back. And all I can really say it was a one-off. So whenever we perform these updates on a component, we do quite thorough QA. I do part of the QA, and then we have a dedicated QA tester. So there's a lot of QA that goes into it, and we try and cover as many use cases as absolutely possible. But because in WeWeb you can build pretty much anything when it comes to web apps, invariably now and then there'll be certain use cases that we miss, and certain things might creep through the door as much as we try and prevent it. But as I say, I'm pretty sure that the event you were describing was a bit of a one-off when we had a kind of mass a bunch of events in a short period of time. However, when they do happen, we patch them as rapidly as we possibly can. Sorry. So will they ever happen? Will a component break now and then? Potentially. But we aim to fix it obviously as quickly as we possibly can, and we do as much QA as we possibly can. One thing I will say though is that any updates we do to our components, they get pushed automatically to your projects if you are using our native components and you haven't created your own ones. However, they won't just break a live project that's published. So if you have your project, it's in the WeWeb editor, and you press deploy to production, and it then gets deployed to production. If we push an update to one of our elements, that will automatically update your project in the editor, but it will never affect what you have deployed in production. So if in this example, let's say we had like a text input, if we did something that would break the text input and that automatically gets pushed to the project in your editor, it will not break what you have in production. So if you have something for a client that's deployed to production, it will never break what you have deployed to production for that client. It will only break production if you go into your editor and then deploy it. So that's worth considering. But with all that said, it's very much a rare edge case that something slips through the cracks. And even then, if you really wanted to, if you were extremely paranoid about it, you could build your own components. And at that point, I mean, the world's your oyster. You pretty much have no dependencies on us in that sense. As for our components, because whether you build your own custom coded components or you build no code components, then you're completely in charge of what happens to your components. Yeah, so as Sean said, the issues that you're seeing, they would have been fixed for those components. So yeah, we would have fixed them very quickly whenever they did happen. Hey, William, yeah, I know there's a bunch of stuff we need to do a full in-depth tutorial on. Yeah, it's one of those things I'm hoping we can do in the future. Right now, we just have a major release that we're working on, and it will change the UI quite drastically. But it will also help with educational stuff because we can be a lot more kind of segmented on what we create the education around, which will help us just put stuff out the door quicker. So yes, once that new release is out, I'm hoping we can just go through everything and do a bunch of deep dives into things basic and advanced. Look, I'm not a critic. I love the product, but the landing page could be better. Yeah. Funny enough, I wish Flo was here. That's something we're working on behind the scenes now. I can't say too much about it because I'm not involved in it, but it is being worked on. And it wouldn't be being worked on if you weren't somewhat correct. So happy to take the criticism. I've recently added file sets and custom interactions to Mapbox, and it's crazy powerful. Yeah. It's a bunch of use cases, and because you can get so advanced with it, it's kind of a Pandora's box of what you can do with it. So yeah, kind of playing on your point. Hoping we can do a in-depth tutorial in the future. No, it won't break anything, William. It's in my opinion, it's very much a quality of life change. It should make things a bit simpler. I think right now in the editor, there's a lot of things that are more important when you're using the editor, but they aren't given priority in the editor, so to speak. So it's like page workflows are kind of jumbled in between page settings and all these different things, when probably page workflows are one of the most important things about pages, and you could say the same for different features in the editor. So no, they won't break anything. If anything, they'll add to it because of the new features that are coming with it. So it's more so just a quality of life improvement, but then also being changed so it can cater for some new features. Do we offer paid support? It depends what you mean by paid support. If you mean almost like enterprise level support, we can do, but you have to be on an enterprise plan. And for that, you have to go through the sales channel. If you mean kind of just one-off unblock you with trying to build something in WeWeb, then yes. We have a dedicated support chat that can help you with things. But to get truly prioritized support, we do actually have an hour by hour kind of coaching service that's paid. I will get the link to it for you now, where you can just book a slot with the team, and it's basically an hour of paid coaching that's just obviously prioritized and dedicated to you. And I think we might have changed the pricing of it slightly. Well, you might get a free session, but I'm not too sure. Let me just get the link for you before I say anything. Here's the link for you, Superbase WeWeb, so you can explore that if it's of interest. We call it Talk to Human. It's basically paid coaching services if you need it. Would you say the updated UI will come with a learning curve, or is it intuitive? So, I mean, how long? One of my questions would be, how long have you been using WeWeb? Because I think somewhat the current UI we have isn't that intuitive. And I actually think the new one is much more intuitive for a newcomer who's used to other products. However, obviously, if you're used to our current UI, then it just takes a bit of a resetting of your muscle memory and getting used to where certain things are. So I would say there's potentially, if you're a current WeWeb user, is there a learning curve? Yes, but not because you have to learn new concepts or anything like that. It's just a case of, oh, this was here before, now it's here kind of thing. So it's not really a learning curve in the traditional sense of it being a learning curve. And then once you get used to it, in my opinion, it's way more intuitive. And then especially with the new features that come with it, one, it's more intuitive, but it's way quicker to build, not necessarily because of the new UI, but because of the new features that come with the UI. Yeah, you'll be fine, William. If you've been using it for 2 years, you'll be a bit like me, where you have to kind of adapt to, oh, this was here, now it's there. But you won't have to learn new concepts or anything like that. It'll just take a bit of time to, adapt muscle memory and things of that nature. Sorry, I just realized I was muted. No, sorry, William, I can't. That's above my pay grade, unfortunately. It's I'm not in a position where I can decide whether or not we disclose that. If Flo was here, maybe he could give you some kind of pointers, but no, unfortunately, I can't disclose it. Yeah, I agree. I'm similar to you. I've been using it for like 2.5 years now. Been using it before I joined the team, and for me, there's no real alternative to WeWeb. It's either you go WeWeb if you want something more flexible, you go full code for the most part. It's just an amazing tool in a complete, like I say, that's non-biasedly as possible. So yeah, I agree. We shall see, though. It's all kind of speculation. I'll be curious to see where the whole vibe coding interest goes. I think it's kind of waning off now, where people that were interested in vibe coding are now, they've either given up on it because they realized what they wanted to build was just too complex and they couldn't build it at a production ready way, just purely with AI and zero technical knowledge. So they've either given up on it or they've kind of branched off and are now becoming a bit technical and then exploring how they can build on their own, but without potentially having to code. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see what happens over the next few years, but I think it's kind of all a rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing. Plus, with the new features that are coming, I think it will open up the doors a lot to different use cases, but helping people get going much quicker. So we shall see. Yeah, I'm not too sure of everyone else's backstory. And now you say it'd be actually probably a cool thing for the About Us section to have. But for me, I used WeWeb to build my own projects and for clients and things of that nature for, I don't know, 2.5 years. Before that, I was using Bubble. Then I kind of went looking for other tools, discovered WeWeb and Xano, been using it for about 2.5 years. And that's it, I kind of fell in love with it. As I say, once you get to grips with the tools, there is definitely, if you are completely non-technical, there's definitely a learning curve because you have to learn the principles of engineering. You don't necessarily have to understand the syntax of code, but you have to be able to think like an engineer and architect databases and all that good stuff. So there's definitely a learning curve. But once you kind of wrap your head around things, the speed at which you can build that is just incredible. So yeah, that was me. Was building for others using WeWeb Xano, and then just got in touch with the team and joined the team, and happy to now be a part of it. And yeah, no worries about the questions. That's what the hour's for at the end of the day. But a very good idea. I'm going to pass down to the marketing team because I think it would be super cool to have kind of like a backstory of everyone on the in the about section on the landing page. Hey, I posted recently in the community about paste data from Excel column in a data grid and the data not appear on different rows. There's a way to do this, or I need to use other element? Yes, good question. I'm not too sure if that would be possible. I haven't actually tried this. When you say it appears on different rows, as in like if you, wait, it appears on different rows. So let's say I have a row in Excel I'll try and find your community post after I say this because it might help explain things. But if I have a row in Excel, if you copy that entire row and then you try and paste that into a row on the data grid, instead of pasting over the row, it pastes over, it pastes downwards almost. It pastes it onto other rows. Is that what you're saying? I'll try and find your post because if that is the case, yeah, I don't know how that would work with our current data grid just because of how it's kind of been set up to work in the context of WeWeb. And in truth, I'm not too sure if there is an element out of the box you could do something like that with. I'm just trying to find your post on the forum now. I think I found it. Yes, Felipe, so I'm not sure, Felipe, this would be, if you can't do it natively with a data grid, this is an interesting use case I hadn't tried actually. Unfortunately, I don't think, because of the way that works and the way it expects certain things in the HTML, I don't think we have an element that it would work for out of the box. Your best bet, I think, would be to fork the data grid and then ask AI to try and add the functionality. Because yes, unfortunately for something like that, if it doesn't work out of the box and it's such a specific way it works behind the scenes for tables in HTML, I don't think there would be a way to make it work, unfortunately, without altering the core code in some way. So what I'll do is I will give you a link to the documentation for forking the element. And now you can ask AI to make an adjustment. And if that doesn't work for you, the next step I would recommend is potentially even using something like Claude Code to make the adjustments. So I'll send you two links. The first will be forking. I'd recommend that if you haven't tried tweaking the custom code components before, just because it will be the most straightforward approach. You can just press fork and then have the AI make the changes you want. However, if it doesn't work, you can try a bit more of an advanced technique and use Claude Code to make any edits you want. So I'll put a link to that video in the chat also. I was talking about the memory leak problem and user complaining in the community is resolved now. I believe so. I'm not too sure. That would be one for the technical team. I know there was a memory leak issue that was investigated about a month ago, and it was resolved. So if that's the one, then I believe so, yes. But yeah, that'd be one for the technical team. But as far as I'm aware, that all the memory leak issues that were investigated in the past have now been resolved. Hello, noticing there are many approaches to Superbase real-time in WeWeb. What's the recommended pattern? It's a good question. It kind of, then you said afterwards what your use case was. Building custom messaging, not using WeWeb natives elements, and need real-time updates without page load fetching. I keep seeing number one, collections with real-time, variables plus manual subscriptions, Postgres changes and broadcast. Yes, I believe that is the right approach. We had a similar question last week, something along the same kind of lines. Do you have something set up to unsubscribe to the channels? Because we realized last week, one action we don't currently have is the ability to track which channels have been subscribed to for a user. So yeah, at least as you wrote out your approach, that seems like the correct approach. And then if you need to handle the subscribing and unsubscribing of channels, because you can subscribe multiple times to a channel and create duplicate subscriptions. You might just need a variable on the front end, although you've said variables, so you might already have that set up. So variables to track what channels a user has been subscribed to, and use that to decide whether or not they need to subscribe. And sorry, I thought you said that was your step-by-step approach. Oh, okay, I see what you mean now. You know, it's a very good question. Let me think about this one because I don't use real time very much. So let me just check something out. I will message someone quickly. No worries. I'll let you know when I hear back from them. In the meantime, let me just check because I know we do have. I didn't put the documentation for it together, but we do have Supabase real-time docs. So I'm just going to check if there's something in there that mentions your use case. Yeah, so the way I believe it would be recommended is you would want to use your. It wouldn't necessarily be your second approach; it'd be a combination. So you'd want to, like let's say when the user opens a chat, you subscribe them to the channel, and then whenever someone posts a message, you broadcast that message. But I think you would also want to, again, this is me kind of with not knowing how real time operates behind the scenes. But at base level, you'd want to subscribe to the channel, and then when they post a message, broadcast that message. And the one part I'm not sure on is when you broadcast the message, if that has some kind of logic behind the scenes, they let you save that action to a table. Because when they broadcast a message, you'd want to persist that message over time. So you may want to save that to a table. So that's the part I'm not too clear on. I'll just double check. But as a base level, subscribe to a channel, and then when someone posts a message in the channel, broadcast that as a message. I will just check the table part because I guess you may not even need to save it to a table because it's saved in the real-time channel. Let me just check. Flo is sick, unfortunately, this week. He's caught a bad cold. You know, honestly, Emmanuel, as I explore this deeper, I don't want to give you a bad route to go down. So for this, would you mind putting a post in the community so we can get you a thorough answer? Because there's a few things I'm not too sure on because I haven't used it before. So because I'm not too sure if you're subscribed to a channel, if something get posts in, if a new record gets added to that table, if it automatically get broadcast to the channel. That's the one thing I'm not sure on. Because I'm not sure on that, I'd rather if you put it on the community, just because I don't want to give you an answer that might lead you astray. I see an interactive advanced user tutorial badge with some user profiles in WeWeb community. What's that? We do have a WeWeb ambassador program. I'm not sure if that's the badge you're talking about. Let me check if it has some kind of name like that behind the scenes. No, it's not that one. Interactive advanced user tutorial badge with some user profiles. I'm honestly not too sure. I'm looking at the WeWeb community now, but I can't see that badge. Could you send me a link to it, Superbase? Because we do have WeWeb ambassadors, but the badge just says WeWeb ambassadors, so I don't think that's the one you're looking at. I honestly, in the community, I honestly don't, I'm not too sure where it is. On just the main page with all the topics, I don't see any, how can I access the tutorial? I don't see a link like that. Is it definitely the community? Are you sure it's not the documentation you're on? No, I'm not sure. I'm looking at the community homepage, and I'm not sure where you're seeing it, because I don't see a link. I don't see anywhere that says like how can I access the tutorial. So you said the link's above it, but I'm not too sure what page exactly you're looking at. I can't see anything on my side. Could you send a link to it? Sean has joined me again. Hello again, Sean. How's it going?
Hello. For Supabase real-time subscription, when we first load the page, it works and the alerts come up as a pop-up on Chrome, but after some time, it times out. Is that our code or?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar with real time, so I don't want to give you a bad answer, because I know with real time you can. Do you subscribe to the channel on page load, or what is it you do on page load?
I believe it's.
Sorry, and it's real time. It's real time, yeah. So it's yeah. Honestly, Sean, I don't want to give you a bad answer. I'm really sorry. I'm not too sure on that one, because I'm not I'm not too sure Supabase real time.
Do you just want to look at my workflow and see if there's maybe anything wrong with that?
Sure, yeah. Maybe there'll be a sign. We can have a quick look.
Hold on a sec. It's just a screenshot, actually. Oh, darn, it's too small. Hold on. Yeah, it's too small. Screenshot he sent me. Yeah. All right. So
what might be best for that one is either put something in the support chat, because the support guys are quite familiar with Supabase because we get so many questions on it, so they'll be able to help you out. If not, put something on the community forum, but probably the support chat will be the most straightforward way.
Actually, the screenshot is not bad. I got a bigger one. Hold on, let me share my screen. All right, one sec. Tires. Here we go.
Okay, wait, give me one sec. I have to zoom in. Channel name, event data. Okay. I mean, it looks good to me.
Mm-hmm.
There might be stuff. There might be some stuff you have to do with Supabase, because if it maybe the real-time subscription does time out in some way, shape, or form, they might have some kind of thing on their side where after a certain amount of time they automatically time it out, and you then may need to resubscribe again. That I'm not too sure on. So yeah, I'd say get in touch with the support team or post on the forum.
All right.
Probably
Or that I didn't know you had that real time get a human. That's a good price for an hour, so I'll probably just do that.
Yeah, they'll be able to help you out because they know Supabase like the back of their hand.
All right. I thought you knew it all.
Zan, unfortunately, friend. If Flo was here, it's like a yin and yang. He knows Supabase. I know Zano. So whenever the Supabase come, I have to make a list to send to Flo.
Yeah, can't know it all. All right. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Cheers.
Yeah. Bye.
Final question on WeWeb real-time feature. They're all real-time questions tonight. What is the recommended use case, and what is the recommended use case and arc? Use cases and arc on real-time features. I'm not sure what you mean by arc, but in terms of use cases, your use case is probably one of the most common in terms of having chats, notification systems. I'm trying to think, to be honest with you. I mean, those are really the two most common. Notification systems probably being the most common. maybe something like a community board architecture. Okay, I'll cover the use cases first. So yeah, the messaging alerts, something like a feed where it's like Twitter, where you have the feed, and then if a new tweet comes in, you get that button at the top saying show one more tweets or however more tweets there are. And you can apply that to many things, like if you're, I don't know, creating an email viewer or any kind of post viewer when new posts come through, so that kind of thing. But even then, with that kind of thing, you don't necessarily need real time. You could just do polling, so every, I don't know, 10 seconds calling an API to check if there is new messages and showing that button, so you don't necessarily need real time. But it's up to you. The most common ones are messaging and notifications. And then for the architecture, so what's the recommended architecture on real-time features in WeWeb? I mean, it depends how you set it up. With the real-time, I guess I assume you'll mean the Superbase, because Xano has real-time, but you can't just directly use the real-time on a table the way you can with Superbase. You have to do it through channels. So assuming you mean Superbase, the architecture, the most common one, is doing what Sean just showed, where you have a table and you have real-time enabled on the table. And so you then just subscribe to the changes and do it that way. But I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to get so many Superbase real-time questions, and I'm not clued up on it. So I don't want to lead you guys astray in terms of what is the best approach. I just know there is multiple approaches. So yeah, if you have your specific use case and you're not too sure of the best architecture, honestly, either ask in the support chat or put something on the forum, because I don't want to lead you astray with what is potentially the best architecture for your use case. But I know the most common architecture is having just a table, a Superbase table that you have real-time set up on, and you then subscribe to the changes. But as to why you would want to use a different approach where you subscribe to channels and that kind of thing, I don't want to lead you guys astray. So please do put it on the forum or get in touch with support for a recommendation on your use case. Cool. Okay, that is us at the hour. Thank you everyone for joining me. We are here every 6 to 7 p.m. Central European time on Tuesdays. Usually Flo is with me. Unfortunately, he was ill this week. Hopefully he's better next week. And he can answer all the Superbase real-time questions that your heart desires. Cool. Right. Cheers, everyone. I was seeing you answer your question. I've just seen it. No worries. Probably a good idea. Also, Sean that was on with the real-time question would have him look at his on-page load to be careful. It's querying when listening. Hence the timer. Okay, Sean, that might lead you. That might be one for you to then check out, Sean. So your page load workflow, it's querying when listening, hence the timeout. Okay, so that, I think that means the request is timing out potentially. That might be something. Again, I haven't used real time, so I'm honestly not sure how it works behind the scenes. But so I guess it's like a standard request when you are listening. It's doing constant queries, and so I guess the requests time out after a period of time if it is doing it that way. So I guess if I interpret that correctly, then maybe Sean, because the requests are timing out, it might be like I said, where you then need to, whenever you detect an error, if it does throw an error, I'm not too sure, manually start the subscriptions again, potentially. But yes, anyway, right. Thank you so much, everyone. See you guys next week.